Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good.
I'm talking to Demetra right now. I'm telling him to join me.
Yes, tell him to get his butt in class because it's almost 30.
Are you joining, Demetra? I'm gonna leave the call, okay?
Are you talking to me, Alan?
What?
You said you're gonna leave the meeting?
No, I'm talking about join the meeting to Demetra.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We might play Kahoot today. Yay. Why does my camera don't work? Who's that?
Yeah, Erica, you're using Erica's device. Can you tell me what your name is so I know?
I think it's Eric. Pretty sure.
Eric,
Yeah, it is Eric.
Eric last name, what's the last name? Eric Guzman?
Yeah, Eric Guzman.
Okay.
I didn't even know I was talking on back show. Oop, never mind. Oh, hi, Jeremy. No, my charger.
We are going to get started soon, guys. Social studies, please have your textbooks out and ready.
Does the teacher say she's going to be right back, or did she just leave?
Oh, the teacher's still here. Ha 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 ha. I hear everything. Who was that? Demetrio?
Yeah, can we leave now? She left.
I'm right here, Alan. I'm literally in front of the camera.
No.
I didn't leave. I'm in my bedroom. I was looking for something, but I guess I lost it.
You lost your book. You lost your book.
I'm in here. I can hear everything. So everybody be nice. Appropriate.
What book? Did I just say book? Say book. How does that make sense?
Who knows? Okay. Let's go ahead and get ready to get started, guys. Oh my gosh. So what do you guys do before you come to see me? One of you guys.
Watch YouTube.
So you have math.
Oh yeah, math. Yeah, math.
Homework I do. Yeah.
What time do you have math? Like what time do you start? What time do you get
9:15 till 10. 9:15 till 10.
You guys are in math for a while.
Yeah.
And then at 10 you have a break, and then 10:30 you have to come see me.
Yeah. My break was fantastic.
You
I
start,
have to do my homework.
you start your day, yeah?
Oh yeah, we forgot. We had to do homework.
Or do you have to wake up even earlier? What time do you guys officially start your mornings?
6.
No, I
Six.
mean school-wise. Like
Oh,
what's your first class?
8:30 or
8:30.
8:30.
8:30 with
8:30.
Mrs. C.
so you do 8:30 to 9, you have like let's say religion and science. And then
Yeah, it's religion.
at 9:15 you do math until 10:15. So I am your third and fourth class of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yes.
lovely.
So what are we talking about?
No wonder you guys are antsy when you come in here. I can't get you guys to stop chatting. Nobody wants to participate. It makes sense because there's like 5, you guys have 4 classes before me? No, 2 classes before me?
It's kind of boring and I get tired.
Yeah. I get it. Get it now. I understand.
I wish I was born knowing everything.
I'm hungry. I don't know what. Time to grab.
I hear chips.
Time to grab my chocolates.
What?
Hey, Takis. I forgot.
I'm not gonna eat atún. Mami, voy a comer atún.
Abriel was hungry. She probably
You
could have
can
ate the potato in her background.
Okay, guys, let's all mute ourselves. Please mute yourselves. We have to get started. I'm tired too, guys. But
I'm hungry.
I also have 2 classes before this.
Um.
What you guys do. So I'm tired too. I get it. It makes so much sense. I did not realize you guys had such a long morning before you came to see me.
I woke up at 5.
You were with me for such a long time. Now I feel bad.
Takis for really known.
This water bottle that I bought,
Yeah, what is it?
it's supposed to help me drink water and like more water, and it tells you by what time you have to have the certain amount of drink. And
Oh my god.
I'm at the 7 a.m. mark, and just now, it's crazy.
You have to wake up at 6 to drink it.
But I don't wake up at 6. I wish I did. But let's get started.
I do.
Are you ready, guys? Let's go ahead, and I have a presentation today for social studies. Surprise, surprise. We are going to learn about so a student from 5B wasn't able to make our 5B session, so she just came on in and joined us here in 5A. She's not normally here, but she's just here to learn. Dedicated.
Oh, probably not.
So let's get started.
Where's my money?
Okay, mute yourselves and let's begin. So we're going to talk about, we're on lesson 2 now, so this means a whole new set of vocabulary. I didn't assign it for homework, but a whole new set of vocabulary, and we are learning about 2 more Native American tribes, okay? We're going to be talking about the Native Americans of the woodlands, okay? And you might be wondering, well, what the heck is what are the woodlands? So here we go. I'm showing you here. These are the woodlands, okay? All of these United States, they were considered the woodlands. And they belong to 2 Native American tribes, and the languages that they spoke were Algonquian and Iroquoian. I can never pronounce that right, even though I practiced yesterday like 5 times before when I made this PowerPoint. So these aren't the names of tribes, okay? These are just the main languages that they spoke. So let's say me, Viviana, and Alan belonged to the Hopi tribe, and we spoke Algonquian. Julian and Demetrio belonged to the Navajo tribe, and they spoke Iroquoian. And then Eric and Miss Carol and Patricia belonged to their own separate tribe, and they spoke Spanish. Okay, so there were other languages spoken, but the most common languages were Algonquian and Iroquoian, and this meant that they didn't speak English, right? They had their own languages. They had their entirely different culture. Okay, so that is what we have in the Eastern Woodlands. So the Eastern Woodlands, the land itself, extends from the Atlantic Ocean to the Mississippi River, from Canada and to Florida.
Mississippi River.
So basically, it's all over the place. Okay, this entire area of land is a lot of land, and in this land, right, there's forests. We live right here in Indiana, right? We know that there's a lot of trees and a lot of forests. If you've ever been to like the South Bend area, like where I went to college, there's a lot of trees, okay? My school was known for being like a forest, okay? So that means that there's a lot of wood, right? There's a lot of access to water. There's rivers and lakes and all of that stuff. Which means there's a lot of natural resources for the Native American tribes to have lived off of. So, one, Alejandro, please don't doodle. One, they have a lot of animals, right? A lot of animals in the forests, from deer down to squirrels, okay? And believe it, they hunted both, okay? They hunted the big and the little, whatever they could get their hands on to eat. The wood, once again, this helped them build their homes and their canoes, right? The boats. And they had a lot of plants. And I know that my grandmother is still very, I guess her word would be spiritual, but a lot of people use plants as medicine, okay? They use plants for medicine. They also use it for food, but a lot of times they use it for medicine, okay? And that's sort of what the Native Americans did. They used the plants for medicine, and they ate them, obviously, like berries. They had good soil because it rained, right? So they had like muddy areas for them to plant, for them to farm. So that was easy. It wasn't like they were living in the desert, kind of like the Hopi tribe that we learned about, right? And the Navajos. And then on top of it, with all these rivers, they had lots of fish that they can get. And we did this in 5B, so I thought that would be cool. Why is it? Geez. We sort of looked at what they sort of fished with, okay? And this is what they fished with. This is what they would do. They didn't have fishing poles. Why is it now coming up? They made their own spears, okay? And what they would do is they would get like a big twig from a tree, and they would get a rock, and they would use the rock and constantly make this motion, right? And they would sharpen it. Good, Demetrio, exactly like that. They would sharpen it and sharpen it and sharpen it and sharpen it until it got to something like this, something pointy. And then they would go and they would stand in the water, and they would have to keep quiet and keep still. And when they'd see a fish, they'd throw the spear and hopefully catch the fish with that spear. They would also use these in battles, right? They would use these as weapons to fight in their battles. So we thought that was pretty cool, to look at that and sort of how different it is. Now we have fishing poles, right? I love to fish. I find it very calming. It's very just relaxing. It's a relaxing activity. And so I can't imagine having to fish with a spear, though. I don't think I'd be very relaxed. I like to just sit there with my pole and wait. Maybe listen to some music in my headphones.
I want to try going fishing one day.
Yeah, fishing is fun. It's very fun. You should definitely, if you ever get the chance to, go. You can even come to Whiting. I think you have to have a sort of license, but a lot of people fish in the lake out here, and they're really, really lucky. My younger cousins, they're about your age. One's 8, one's 10, and one's 13. And they went fishing, and they caught a bass about this big, huge bass. So there are some big fish out here. You just got to catch them.
Did they eat it?
Yes, my uncle ate it. And then the little ones, they throw back. But my uncle said the bass was too big not to want to eat. So I think he ate it. I don't know. The water out here is kind of gross. We'll see. I don't know. I should ask him. But he said he was. So they had a lot of opportunities for food, okay? The animals, the fish in the water, and the nuts and berries that they found in the forest. So basically, those who lived in the good climate parts, they kind of sort of hit the jackpot. But like I said, there is a huge area of land. So we do still have the north and the south. So this is a sort of comparison. So here's a new tribe that we learned about. So we learned about the Hopi and we've learned about the Navajo, right? So here's a new one. It's called the Penobscot. So we don't learn too much about them the way we did the Navajo and Hopi, but we do learn some. So they lived in the mountains, and it was really cold where they lived, okay? It was freezing cold, like winter, all the time. And so, sorry, this meant that the farming there was way too hard. You can't farm when it's wintertime. It's really difficult. The crops, they die. It just doesn't work out. So they were constantly moving. They never really settled. So imagine you stay in one place for a couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks, and then it's time to pack up and go. And this was all the time for them. They were always packing up and going after just a little bit of time. But when they were doing so, they were doing it to gather food. So it was almost like, okay, let's settle here for however long because we have, 7 days worth of nuts that we found in the forest, and that's what they would eat. And then once it was like day 6, they were like, okay, we only have enough for one day, so let's get going. Let's pack up and move so we can go and start looking for more as we make our journey. So that's what they were doing. They were looking for fruits and nuts, maybe some more animals to hunt from the forest. But it was freezing, so what were they going to do for clothing, right? You can sit by a fire, but if there's that many people, there's only so many fires, and you can't sit exactly on top of a fire or you'll catch fire, right? So what they did was the animals that they hunted, the deer, they would skin the deer. I know a lot of people who still hunt today do that, but yeah, so you basically carve the skin off of the deer, you clean it off, you sew it. Yeah, it's a little too much for some, but and that's what they would do, and they would make clothing out of this deer skin. And that's what would keep them warm when it got super cold. So it's crazy. I'm sure they did it off of other animals too, right? Have you ever seen those people with those hats that sort of have the raccoon tails, right? Or maybe some sort of tail. That's sort of what they would do as well. They would skin the animals and use their fur to keep them warm during the winter.
Crocodile bags? Or like hats?
Maybe crocodile hats, but I'm thinking more of the winter hats, and it looks like you have a raccoon on your head, it goes all the way down, and sometimes they have the tail, something like that. And like
It looks weird though.
Yeah, it might not be the
Weird.
cutest, the biggest, the nicest fashion trend, but
Yeah.
if we were to say, like I said, if we were to start all over, and that's what we would have to do, and us people, if you guys can unmute your mic, please. Us people living in Indiana, we know how cold it can get, right? It can get really cold. So if we were here left with nothing, remember, no technology, no access to anything, I'll tell you guys right now, if it's gonna keep me warm at night and during the day, I guess I'll wear deer skin. If I don't have a sweater, you know what I'm saying? It's not something that some people might like it, it's a cultural thing, but to them it's normal because that's how they survived.
Miss Gomez,
Sure.
you know how you said that you went to college in South Bend, right?
Mm-hmm.
What college did you go to?
I went to St. Mary's College.
My sister's there.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, so that's great. Yeah, see, Lily's oldest sister, don't tell me her name. She was there when I went to St. Cass, but she was just a baby. Oh my gosh, it's not Savannah. That's Miss Jen's daughter. What's your sister's name?
Mine?
Yeah,
Which one?
the one that's at St. Mary's.
Sydney?
Sydney, yes. That's why I was getting it as an S. It wasn't Savannah, it was Sydney. Yeah, so Sydney is going to, fun fact, Lily's big sister is going to the same college as me. And my college was super small. Super, super, super small. Not a lot of people there at all. But it was beautiful. So yeah, that's something for you to know as well.
It's all girls school.
And it was, yep, it was an all girls school. And I loved it. It was very cool. But anyway, so the tribe, that's sort of how they survived in the winter months and in the really cold in the mountains. But now we're going to talk about the southern tribes, right? So the next tribe we're going to learn about is the Natchez tribe. They lived in mild climate, so they farmed, okay? Gianni, I keep seeing your name. I don't know if you're sketching or I don't know how it's happening, but you're here. So yeah, mild climate, meaning that it's not too warm, not too cold. They have their on and off months. So it's perfect. So that it was perfect for them to farm, all right? They had the perfect land, the perfect weather to live and to settle there. So they weren't like the Penobscot tribe, they didn't have to keep moving to look for resources. Their resources were everywhere and they didn't want to leave them. So they were descendants of mound builders. That's all your book will tell you. So I was a little bit confused on what that meant. So I looked it up, and basically they were descendants of people who built mounds like this. It's almost like a dome underground with the grass growing on top of it. It's pretty cool. So if you've ever seen like the really big hills, maybe like at parks, but they're like awkwardly shaped as if maybe they're like made that way. They probably were man-made way, 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 way back in the day. And then the grass just eventually grows on top of them. But that's what they were called. They were called mounds. They're all called mounds, and they look sort of something like that. And that's who the Natchez were sort of known for. They were descendants of these groups. They lived along the Mississippi River. When it was hot, okay, when it got a little bit too hot, what they did was they made their clothes from plants, which is awesome to think about. And that's how they kept cool when it got too hot. They would just wear their plant clothes, and it would be okay. Those in the southeast were mostly farmers, and their situations were permanent, right? Because they had the perfect resources, so why would they leave? But what they did do was they built wigwams. So can one of you guys tell me what a wigwam is? That is a new vocab word. It should be in your book. Remember, I asked you to have your book open. So take a look at that book, and when somebody's ready, let me know what a wigwam is.
Which page?
I think it starts on like page 56, somewhere like that, or maybe 60. Probably try 60. It's that lesson 2. And it's called Native Americans of the Woodlands. Something like that. Somewhere around that area.
Wigwams were homes with bent sapling frames. They were covered with cattle mats or elm bark.
Good, thank you, Julian. So yeah, so wigwams were, here's a new type of home. So we learned about, with the Hopi tribe, we learned about pueblos, right? And those were the apartment style homes. They didn't have like a door or a window on the first floor, and they were made out of that hard clay. Then we learned about the Navajo tribes. What was the name of theirs?
It was called a Hogan.
A Hogan, yes. Who was that?
It was like a kind of like a dome.
Good job, whoever remembered the Hogan. Thank you, because my brain was not working today. Yeah, so we learned about a Hogan, right? And now here is a third sort of house that we're learning about. We learned about the Penobscot. They didn't really build homes, right? They were constantly moving. So they didn't really have a sort of home, which is kind of sad. But here we are now. We're learning about our third style of home, and that is a wigwam. I love that word. I think it's funny. It sounds funny. Maybe it's easier to remember because it has a funny name. Who knows? But yeah,
Wigwam.
It was built out of elm bark, and it had, which is a type of tree, and it had cattle mats. Cattle mats meaning almost like cattle skin as well, okay? They would skin the cows or the goats or the sheep, and they would use this to insulate, meaning keep the really cold air or just keep any of the hot air as best as they could out. So they would put it on top so that no air would come in, whether it was hot air or cold air, okay? And
But
that's
why?
because so think about it. Our houses, whether you know it or not, are insulated, meaning that in the winter, even if we don't have heat, yes, it'll get cold, but it sort of blocks the wind, okay? It doesn't let the wind from coming in and making us too cold. Same way in the summer, it does its best to sort of keep your air, the hot air from coming in. So that's sort of what they were trying to do, right? They were trying to keep either the cold air or the too hot air from coming in. They just wanted to sort of keep their air as comfortable as possible in their homes, okay? That's a good question.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense now, right? Now that we think about it, coming from our point of view, we kind of sort of do the same thing, except we have technology to do it, right? We have certain wood that I'm sure our carpenters use, and the electricians put in a certain layer of whatever it is. My dad's a carpenter, he knows all about that. But you know, stuff like that. So there's certain tools that we use to do the same thing. But for them, they used with what they had, and that was animal skin, which is crazy. And so remember, we talked about canoes, right? That when they go fishing and hunting in the water, water hunting, so fishing. What they did was a lot of them went in canoes. They would go out, right on the shore. Maybe they had zero luck getting fish. So they would canoe out and try to fish deeper into the water. And so what they did was they made their boats, their canoes, from birch bark. And this is what a birch tree looks like. I'm sure you guys have seen these before, even if you think I've never seen those. They're actually a lot more common than you think. So next time you're looking out the window on a long drive or something, see if you can find a birch tree, because if you ever wanted to be a craftsman, you can make a canoe out of that, which is pretty crazy to think about. So yeah, so that's, those are 2 more tribes. So in total, we learned about 4, right? We've learned about the Hopi tribe, the peaceful, sort of hippie, live off the land farmers, the cool guys who really, really relax. Then we learned about our tough and strong Navajos, the invaders, right? They constantly invaded. They were sort of like this alpha dog, like, if you're going to teach me something, I'm going to do it bigger and I'm going to do it better than you did. That's with the Navajo, the really cool guys. Then we have the Penobscot, right? This is our people the poor people who were living in the cold, so they kept having to constantly move. We feel a little sorry for them. They had to wear warm clothes made from deer skin, okay? And then we have our 4th and final tribe, the Natchez tribe, meaning they lived in almost like the perfect weather, right? They had the best sort of living situation, in my opinion, from all 4, meaning they had great access to everything. And they built their wigwam, they lived in wigwams, they had their fishing, they kept cool by wearing plants, all of this fun stuff. And they were the descendants of mound builders. So if any of you guys have ever seen Moana, remember she says, I am descendant from, I can't remember, from voyagers, right? Descendants meaning that's where they come from. That's their historical background, okay? And in part of you, that's sort of who you are, culturally speaking. You are one as well. So Moana was descendants from voyagers, so she became a voyager, right? I love that movie. If you have never seen that movie, it's a really good movie. So that's a good way to think of descendants, right? That's where you come from. That's where your family history comes from. And that's sort of, yeah, it sort of makes you, it's a part of who you are, okay? And that's how the Natchez tribe felt about mound builders. They were natural born builders, okay? And they would use this not only for homes, but they might use it for a stage or for ceremonies or something like that, okay? So that's a pretty cool fact to think about. So I love time for homework. We only have 7 minutes, but this is homework, okay? We are having homework today. Now, the way that we're going about this is we have a graphic organizer, okay? And now I know that you guys cannot edit this. It would be great if there was a way you guys can individually edit the organizer and type in your own information, but that's probably not possible. I was trying to play with it all last night and I couldn't figure it out. So what we're gonna do is this. Remember the way we did our hero art, right? You wrote it out and you drew it out and then you took a picture and submitted that to me. That's exactly what we're gonna do for this. So you are gonna draw this organizer yourself the same way I have it. So I took the liberty of doing an example. So like this, right? It's gonna look something like this. And I want you guys to fill in. So I filled in the top one. So you don't have to fill in the top one. The top one should be Native American tribes and their ways of living, okay? So don't change the first one. So there you go, you got one answer there. That is our title. That is what our graphic organizer is about, okay? So it's gonna look something like this. You're gonna copy what I have here. But in each of these, we've learned about 4 tribes. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I want you to list the tribe names. So you're not gonna do what I did here and put tribe 1, tribe 2, tribe 3, tribe 4. No, I want you to write the names, okay, in each. So the first one would be the Hopi tribe, right? You would have the Hopi tribe. That would be your first answer. So there, I'm giving you your first answer, okay? That's what you would do. And then here you would do, you know, the other tribe, the other tribe, and the other tribe. Navajo, Penobscot, and the Natchez. There, I just gave you the answers. I'm not gonna say it again. Okay, and that's what you would do here. And then in the square connecting, what I want you to do is the instructions here. I want you to tell me the details, the stuff that we've learned about these tribes, how they might have eaten, their homes, what they were like, or if they didn't have a home. Remember, one of them didn't have a home, and I would want you to say that and why, maybe. What did they do for fun? Did they have religion? What was that like? What was their environment like? Okay, what was their living conditions like? Was it a desert? Was it a forest? Was it cold? Was it hot? Whatever you want to say. And how, just basically how they lived. Okay, I want you to tell me what you learned about each tribe as easily as possible. The important stuff. Okay, so and that's what you're gonna do. Does that make sense? Does everybody sort of understand that? I want you guys to ask if you're still a little bit confused. I'd rather you ask me now instead of in the chat later, because it might be a little too difficult or maybe just a little too late for me to explain. But is that making sense to everybody? Or is there something that doesn't make sense? You can ask. No? Okay, so that's what you were gonna do. Now, I can't remember in 5A if there were a few of you who just couldn't, it was impossible, you did not know how to take a picture and sort of, hold on, what's going on in this chat? I'm just now seeing it. So I'm gonna upload, I'm gonna upload the assignment. So I'm gonna upload this, let me show you. So that's for tomorrow, sorry, don't worry about that. So this is what it's going to look like on Teams. You're going to have an official assignment. No, that's not what official assignment listed, and I want you to upload it. A picture of your homework. So here we go. So I put the graphic organizer in here as well, so you'll have access to it, so you'll know how to draw it if you haven't drawn it already. And it says, students, provided below is a graphic organizer that you will complete tonight for homework. This week, so far, we have learned about 4 different Native American tribes and their different ways of living. Please complete the chart and provide the different information about the tribes. They might have some of the same details, so you might be able to say, you know, they lived in the desert, or they farmed, and that's okay if they have similar stuff, that's what they have. Or they might not have anything similar at all, okay? And, for example, not all of them have religion. So I know I ask for it, but if the book doesn't mention religion or what they did for fun, that's okay if you can't do that. But I know they did mention that for some, so that's why I'm asking that, okay? So that's basically what I want you guys to do. Once again, I have already just said it. It's in your book. So if you start, it starts on page 56 until 63. Don't look on 64. 64 is a different tribe. I don't want that to be one of your 4. Okay, it's like the Hopin something. We haven't learned about that tribe. We've learned about 4. We've learned about Hopi, Navajo, Penobscot today, and I can't remember, Natchez. I couldn't remember how to Natchez or whatever, that pronunciation, okay? And those are your 4 tribes that you're gonna have in the first 4 circles, right? And then in each of those boxes of what you're gonna talk about them. So that's what your assignment is for today. Does everybody gets it? Gianni, what's your question? Gianni, do you have a question? I know you're unmuted, but do you have a question?
When's break?
Break will start as soon as we finish up with this assignment discussion. Viviana?
Where can you find the other 2 tribes? The other 2 tribes at on the history page?
So remember, we're going from pages, I can't reach it. Okay, sorry. We're going from pages 56 to 63. So throughout those pages, you'll have to find them. They're in there. That's not many pages. So the first until 59 is Navajo. It's right there where it says north and south. So you might have to do some reading, and that's probably a good idea anyway, is to read your chapters, because this is what you're going to get your tests from, is the people who made this book. So your tests are going to have a lot to do with this book. In my PowerPoint, I just sort of summarize all of that for you, okay? But if you have to do some reading, it's not going to harm you in any way. But yeah, so it's only on page 63. That's where you'll find the other 2 tribes. We don't know as much about the other 2 tribes as we might know about the Hopi and the Navajo, and that's okay, okay? They just have a shorter section, but they are still 4 different tribes, okay? Good question. So from pages, if you have to write that down right now, don't worry about what's happening for break, and don't worry about Kahoot. This is homework, okay? 56 to 63. Those are important. That's where you're going to find how you're going to do your homework. That's where you'll find the answers in your textbook. In your hour edition,
56 to 53? Or
56 to 63. 63.
56 to, okay.
Okay? Those are the pages that are going to help you do your homework. So make sure you're paying attention to that, because if we leave today and I'm getting messages from students in this class about, wait, what do I do for homework? I don't understand. Or how do we do this? I don't mind asking your questions, but I can tell when you're not paying attention in class because you're too busy asking questions that I repeated about 5 times, okay? All right, it's important to pay attention even when we're distracted. And even when we want to go on break, it's important for us to pay attention. Okay, so if you guys understand the assignment, please, if you do not, tell me now before I don't want it to be 9 o'clock at night tonight or 9 a.m. tomorrow when I'm in class with 5B and you're like, I don't know how to do this, Ms. G. Okay, and if you don't know how to if you were one of the people that didn't know how to take a picture and upload their art, I would like for you to say something as well so we can figure out a different way for you to do this assignment. So is there anybody here who didn't know how to do that? Patricia, right? Okay, anybody else? Okay, so the rest of you guys can go ahead and start your break. Patricia, do you think you think you might be able to learn now, or do you think that you want to do it differently? I can't hear you. Wait, try again. I can't hear you, Patricia. Do you want to maybe send it in the chat? I'm thinking she froze.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Miss Gomez.
Yes.
So when I pull out the assignments, I can't find the assignment that he told us to do.
Right. I haven't listed it yet. I usually list it now, but Patricia had a question, so I was just waiting for her. But I usually don't put the assignments until right after I assign them. So you'll find it.
Miss Gomez,
Yes.
just a question. Are we doing Kahoot today or no?
Probably not. I think Kahoot was too distracting for this class. I
No.
cared too much about playing the game than you were paying attention to class, and there was way too much going. There was not enough participation from those who weren't participating in the actual game.
No.
Sorry, guys. Until we can, and then after class yesterday, there was too much going on in the chat that I didn't notice. And I don't know what's up with we can never be respectful. So we're probably not going to do Kahoot for a while until we learn how to respect each other, and especially myself and Miss Carol. Miss Carol, you were muted, I think, if you were talking.
I said you guys are being very rude. If you have a side comment to make, mute yourself. That's very rude for everybody to be making noises like that.
Yes, I agree. Okay, Patricia. So for you, if you can't, if you don't really understand how to upload a picture, what we can do is I do still recommend you draw it at home, okay? The way that we're doing it here. But what you can do so that you have work turned in, I'm screen sharing with you, right? You can see my screen? Okay, so what you'll do is you'll just type out what you are drawing. So how it might look is like this. So you would say, you know, the title would be the same thing, the Native Americans and their ways of living. And you can just put the first tribe, right? So Hopi, their homes were like pueblos. They use adobe. They Kachina for religion. You know, you're just summing up everything you know about that tribe. And then you would do the second one, and you would do Navajo, and then you would blah blah blah. So you would just type out, okay, and then you would turn that in like you do normal homework. Does that make sense? Okay, I just want you to at least have the opportunity to turn it in. Let me stop sharing. I want you to have the opportunity to turn it in. So if you can't upload the picture, if that's too difficult, I understand, I know. I would like you to at least try on your own, okay? And if you can't do it, then do it that way. But the way, if you were using an iPad or an iPhone, it's actually way easier to upload pictures than you might think, okay? So just maybe give it a practice, and if it doesn't work, then type it out, okay? But definitely try to do the drawing. It's actually a lot better for you than you think. It helps you to remember things even if you don't think it will, okay? Okay, so you have about 7 minutes. Take a break, stretch if you want, do whatever you have to do, okay? And then we'll come back at 11:15. Okay.
Time to try applesauce. No.
Okay, so we have 2 minutes. But those of you who can hear me and are here, what I would like for you to do sorry. What we're going to do is read a story, but we're reading it from the other book today, the bigger book, the one that has the squirrel on the cover. So make sure you have that in front of you. I know we've been using the other book most of the time, but today we're going to use the big book. So if you can hear me, please get that together and then start coming back to your computers because it is 11:14 and we have to get started on our Wonders book. Gianni, I don't mind if you finish your snack, but if you can, keep your camera on, and as long as it's not distracting, okay? I still need you to sort of pay attention to the lesson. But remember, we talked about that. I don't mind if you eat as long as it's not a full course meal and it's not distracting you or anybody else. That's fine. Yeah, that's okay. Okay, it is 11:15. Let me get the ELA thing open and we can begin. I'm going to screen share with you guys. Can everybody hear me? Yeah, you can hear me well? Okay, great. Here we go. We're going to get started. Sorry if you can hear my niece in the background. That's her version of singing. Sorry if I hope it's not too distracting. If so, I can start working from school. I just try to work from here because it's a lot cooler. So this just a review from yesterday, all of the things we talked about, how to be a better reader, what a sequence is, right? The important events that happen in a story. We practiced that a little bit with Mali, and we sort of talked about the important events that happened that made her end up selling her tomatoes at the market with Mr. Taylor. We played our fun game of Kahoot. We sort of talked about that briefly. Some of you might have not been in the camera. Someone had asked if we can play Kahoot. I just want to give everybody a heads up that I have suspended Kahoot from 5A classes. Yesterday was just, the vibe check was not passed, as you guys might in the language that you speak. There wasn't enough participation from those of you who weren't able to actually play the game. There was way too much chatting going on at the end. There's this constant, I don't know what it is with 5A, there's this constant, are we done with class? Are we done with class? Can we leave? Can we leave? Is it time for break? Can we leave for break? If this doesn't apply to us, can we leave? That's not really fair to me. I know that you guys, it's exhausting. And like I said, I know you have a long morning before you come to see me, but I also have a long morning as well. I do all of my classes with 5B. And after school is done, I still have my office hours. And then on top of it, I lesson plan for the next day. I try to, I make these Kahoots to try to make things more fun. And I feel like we're just sort of not in a good place as a class. The respect has not been there so far. So when we get there, then we can go ahead and start the Kahoots back up. Maybe we can do other games, take advantage of Fun Fridays and do stuff like that. But until that happens, we might have to be serious for a little bit. But once we sort of earn that respect back up there the way we had it in the beginning, then we will be just fine, okay? I'm not saying this to make you guys feel bad either. I'm saying this because I want us to be able to do this stuff going forward, okay? We could just leave it where it's at now. We won't let it happen again, and that's that. Once again, if you guys can put your cameras on, I just saw 2 people shut their cameras off. I don't know why you guys do that. You guys are the only class that does that. Keep your cameras on, please. Jimena, Sophia, Alyssa, if you guys can please come back and put your cameras back on. I know I saw your faces and you disappeared. So please stop doing that because you guys are constantly doing that. Keep your cameras on and let's just do class together, okay? Sound good. Patricia, you as well. I don't know where you went. Please put your camera back on and let's get started. So week 1, day 3. So let's do our warm-up, okay, guys? This is our sort of warm-up for today. We have a couple errors in here, and I would like to see who might be able to tell me what they are. So if you see both of them, that's fine. Just try to tell me one so we can give somebody else a chance to correct. So raise your hand.
Spelled wrong.
Okay, I don't know who that was. Who is that?
Julian.
Julian, good
My
job.
bad.
No, it's okay. It's okay. No worries. You didn't know. Julian, good job. So tell me, how do we spell tough? Let me get my. So tough is spelled wrong.
T-O-U-G-H.
Great. So this would be tough. T-O-U-G. Sorry, it's hard doodling it. Tough. Great. Why is it not? Good job. So what else? What's our other error? What is the other error? There's one more. Demetrio. Let's see what you got.
In the beginning sentence, it says there will be a science test today. There's a question mark instead of a period. That's a statement.
Great. Good
If it was a
job.
question, then it would say, is there a science test today? Not there will be a science test today.
Let's give a muted round of applause for Demetrio. Not only did he tell us what the error was, but he told us, how to make this one okay if we decided we wanted to use a question mark. Demetrio, you get an A for today. If this was a test and I was sort of grading you on this, you would get an A++. That was a fantastic response. Good job. So everybody understands, right? Demetrio sort of explained it for you. He did my job for me. Gianni, if we cannot doodle, I can see your T here. So good job, Demetrio. Very good job. So yes, there will be a science test today, period. I know it's going to be tough. So good job, 5A. Very impressive. So let's predict together. So let's open our page 11. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our sort of our sequence and our plot events to the test today.
Sorry, Miss Gomez, the tough and the other things that you drew, it's still there.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Very, very nice of you to say that. I forgot that I have to do that manually. I always think that it goes away. Okay, that should be good. Thank you. Okay, so everybody open 11 in your book. And remember, it's the bigger book today, the one that has the squirrel on the cover, not the one we have been using. So it is the Other Wonders book, in case you didn't hear me say that earlier. Just another heads up reminder for that. So today we have a big day ahead of us, okay? We have a big time story. So yesterday, or the other day when we read the Fresh Idea or whatever it was called, I can't remember again. That was a really, really short story. Probably one of the shortest we will read as a class. It was sort of a warm-up to get us prepared for this story. So it is called One Hen, okay? I don't want you guys to read it, but I want us to do is predict, right? I want us to assume some things. So right now, take the time to flip through the pages and check out the illustrations, okay? Check them out. The illustrations, also a fancy word for drawing, right? I would like for you guys to tell me what you think this story might be about. Who might the main character be, maybe? Stuff like that. So when you feel like you might know, either put it in the chat if you don't have a mic, or go ahead and just share with us. Alan, you may go and get some water really quickly, but please try to join us back before we begin the story. So when you feel like you have something to say, go ahead and say it. Viviana, I know she has her hand virtually raised. We'll hear from her first. And then I think I see Abril here with her hand literally raised in the camera. So go ahead, Viviana. What do you think? Just looking at the pictures.
I think the main character is the boy.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe like what like they have not a lot about is maybe like food or fish.
Okay, good. That's a really, really great assumption. That's really, really good, Vivi. Really good assumption. I'm proud of you for that one. Abril, go ahead. What do you think?
I feel like the boy is the main character, and it says this is Kojo, so I'm assuming that his name is Kojo. And I don't see no father, and I see and hear that his father died, and he had to quit school, and I assume that he is